Let's start with some very basic concepts. What is organizational behavior and why is it important? Let's start with the definition. Organizational behavior is the study of human behaviors in organizations. And every organization has people involved with it. How people interact with themselves, what they bring to the job, is what organizational behavior is. It's the study of human behaviors in the workplace. The goal of organizational behavior is to understand, predict, and drive behavior in order to maximize individual and organizational outcomes. Now, think about this. We got to first understand, that's key, then be able to predict and drive behavior so that there's alignment between what the behavior of the individual is so that it aligns with the behavior the company wants you to engage in. And that, as a result of that, maximizes both individual outcomes and organizational. Problems arise when we don't have these behaviors lined up. That's what we're going to study. Why is it important? Well, the core of organizational behavior is being effective at work. It helps you become a more effective employee and a better manager. Organizations as a whole benefit OB. They have increased efficiency, lower costs, thus more profits, increased employee satisfaction. Happy employees, satisfied employees have lower turnover, which means the cost of replacing them goes down significantly. The startup time goes down, and there's higher levels of production. The other is the increased ability to adapt and change to meet customer needs. Keeping going on this, effective management of people is key to the creation of competitive advantages and the ability of a firm to implement a business strategy. The competitive advantage gives a firm an edge over its rivals. Okay, keywords there. Gives them an edge over their rivals in both attracting customers, defending against competition, and growing. To have a competitive advantage, a company must be ultimately able to give their customers more for their money, a value. We place value on things. And value for the money is a balance of quality, service, and acceptable price. So there's product features and benefits. Doesn't always mean being the most expensive, but being of value for the money. Important thing. A better product that is worth a premium price or a good product at a lower price can both be a source of competitive advantage. Okay? It's about what does the customer perceive this value to be. So firms want to have a competitive advantage. Where do some of these come from? Innovation, firms that develop new products, services, and improving the current ones. Distribution, dominating distribution channels to block competition. Think Amazon. Speed, again, Amazon, getting your product or service to consumers quickly. Convenient, being the easiest for customers to do business with. First to market, introduce new products and services before competitors. Amazon Go. Cost, being the lowest cost provider. It doesn't mean taking shortcuts. That's being able to deliver the product at the lowest cost. Service, providing the best customer support before, during, and after the sale. Quality, bringing the highest quality product or service to market. This is one that we're going to take some time on and discuss what quality is as we move along. Branding, developing the most positive image. And we have different brands. We'll take a section on branding too and talk about it. But these are all sources of competitive advantage. And through OB, you can also be able to develop business strategies better. The cost leadership, lowest cost provider for a level of quality, a differentiation strategy, specialization, or growth. So these are the strategies that you can do. So if we go back, let's just take a look. We have these sources of competitive advantage, and these are the strategies that we could engage in. Some of this sounds very much like general business stuff. It is, but what we have to focus on is that organizational behavior, how we engage our employees, our team members, is very important to the success of the firm. That leads us, what exactly is a firm? I'm going to use that terminology in a broad sense, and it's an organization that does something. It can be for-profit, not-for-profit, or a government. Any of those forms of ownership. Now, most businesses, when we're talking about larger businesses, form what's called a corporation. And corporation is a legal entity. It's separate from the owners. It's its own person. It has an indefinite life. If you're a sole proprietorship or a partnership, upon death, that entity, business form, ends. There's limited liability. Okay. Owners, shareholders we will call them, share in profits of the corporation. Ownership interests are transferable. I could transfer an interest to you. That means it's transferable, which gives it a longer life, but it also lets you deal with certain issues. Or if if a shareholder dies, they can sell that interest to someone else. They can raise money by selling shares. There's a different tax treatment in corporations, and the ability to establish specialized employee plans, things you can't do otherwise. So that's what a corporation is. It's from a perspective, the charter for the corporation is issued by a state. So first you get a state charter. You can get them in New York. We can do them online in about 2 minutes. Then there are shareholders. They own the corporation. Shareholders elect a board of directors. The board of directors hires and fires management, and management manages the employee. So we really see that there's these 5 different layers or hierarchy within a corporation going back to when it starts. Do remember that. It might be a good question for the quiz. One of the things that happened in the pre-corporate period is that the owners and the managers, the ownership and the control were the same. So the owners were there doing the work all the time. They were the managers. They engaged with the employees. They engaged with the customer, and it was easy to align goals and expected outcomes. When you get to the corporate period, you have ownership is now separated from management. Okay, and this thing called the board of directors is in the middle. And when we look for things, we're going to see that various problems can arise depending on whose issue you're really focusing on. So these 2 slides, if we go back just one, this is the hierarchy. State charter gets the authority from the state. Shareholders own the company, and they elect the board of directors. Board of directors hires and fires management. Management run the business, and then the employees. Okay. Basic corporate structure. You always have a president, chief executive officer, and generally there's 4 areas of a corporation. Chief financial officer. They've become probably the most important people in an organization today. You always have a sales or customer care. You always have operations, manufacturing, administrative support, which can be facilities, technology. So these are the basic functions. I'll introduce something a little bit more specific to organizational behavior, and that's the person by situation interaction model of behavior. When we look at this, we take it we look at it from 2 points of view. This is what the rest of the course is going to focus on, is the personal perspective or traits. Okay? And our personality is derived from attributes that we've learned over time. How have we responded to situations? These attributes include personality type, demographics, intelligence, our self-concepts, our learning styles, our attitudes, values, moods, and emotions. This is the person perspective or traits. This is what we bring to the workforce. When we are in a work situation, this situation also has, and we can look at it from an environmental approach. We start with these attributes of ourselves that we know, and this is what we're going to study, what these attributes are, and then how do we react within a corporation or a business, how we react to it. That's the behavior, that's the situation. They include how do you deal with the boss, coworkers, the nature of the job, performance expectation, reward system, norms, values, and cultures. So we're going to look at things from the person perspective and the situation perspective. And why do we do that is that the combination of P and S define our attitudes. Our attitudes define what our intentions are behavioral, what we hope to do. Then there is our actual behavior. It can be positive or negative. So when we look at this, people aren't static. They acting the same in all situations. But we have these attributes, both as individuals and as organizations, but they're ever changing. So we need to be flexible. Okay? So we're not static, but we're going to be grounded in those things. To understand OB, we need to look at both the person and the situation. So what? Big deal. Effectively implementing OB increases organizational performance. Roll. Now, investing now in developing your OB skills, this is now about you, will prepare you to be a more effective employee, enable you to move up faster in any organization. So if you have any questions, do let me know. Otherwise, move on to the next section. What is a manager?